Everything's changing. Is a real wake up. It's the way ahead. Go back, listen to what he said. Truth being told, expose the lie. The brand new sky is something you can't deny. This is the reason why. My soul's on fire. My soul's on fire. It's like the light moving up higher. My soul's on fire. On fire. Turn up, it's getting hot. So learn up or burn up, we're being taught. The past, future, in the now you will understand. If you allow, Mr. Wise will talk you through. He's gonna take that walk with you. He can give you the notes, let your spirit reply. You will feel why. My soul's on
My soul's on fire.
It's like
Y'all tap the screen if you just coming in. If I'm not mistaken, today might be Labor Day. Happy Labor Day, or whatever you're supposed to say on Labor Day. Hope you guys are having a great one with this day off. We're going to get into it just to keep you guys updated on what's going on. This says that this was aired September 1st. Which is today. So it says that this was aired September the 1st. So let's take a listen and let's see what's going on, with everything that's happening. Let's take a listen. You guys make sure you tap the screen, get the likes up. I know it's early. Unfortunately, our sleep has changed. So, I can't sleep. I don't know if you could sleep. I can't sleep. You know what I mean? And we'll see what's going on, try to get up to date with what's going on in the world with the war and everything like that, everything that's going on. So try to piece it together here. Y'all make sure y'all get the likes up or share the live, man. Let's get some more people in here.
I'd like to support the statements by my colleagues who have voiced their appreciation of the Chinese side's preparations and work as part of the SCO. This year is special for all of us. On May the 9th, in Moscow, there was a celebration of the anniversary of the victory in the Second World War and the defeat of Nazi Germany. And in Beijing, there will be a celebration of the victory of Japanese militarism. Crushing Nazism and militarism was made possible thanks to the cohesive ties between the peoples of the world. In the aftermath of the Second World War, the United Nations was established, which is also celebrating its 80th anniversary this year. Its charter incorporated the principles of the supremacy of international law, the self-determination of peoples, sovereign equality of states, non-interference into the domestic affairs of countries, independence, and respect for national interests. These principles are immutable up to this day, and it is on these principles that the Shanghai Cooperation Organization bases its work, adhering to the ideas of a multipolar world and a fair international order. A substantial package of documents has been prepared for the summit. The Tianjin Declaration, the key document, incorporates coordinated approaches of the countries on regional and international agendas. I'd also like to note the strategy, the SCO, until 2035, which will define the key areas of the SCO's activities in politics, economy, security, and humanitarian affairs. The cooperation undertaken at the SCO is impressive. The GDP growth has been over 5%. Industrial output grew by 4.6%. We're also seeing progress in trade turnover above the world average. We're seeing increasing use of national currencies in trade. We are advocating the creation of an independent settlement and financial infrastructure, the implementation of new banking and investment projects, which will allow us to increase the efficiency of our trade and make us secure against external challenges and shocks. A competitive transport infrastructure is emerging. Car and rail transport, as well as multimodal shipments, are on the rise. Customs cooperation is ongoing, and electronic document flow is being implemented
Electronic
in
document
various
flow.
sectors. The strategy of energy cooperation until 2035, adopted last year, is being actively implemented. The roadmap adopted as part of the strategy
These people are dry.
will ensure
These people are dry.
coordinated and balanced
Now type the screen. Type the
in
screen.
the
One's in the
energy
chat.
sector
One's in the
across
chat.
the SCO space.
He's saying a bunch of nothing.
As many of my colleagues have already noted, our ties in science and education are developing too, as well as in healthcare, environmental protection, sports and youth initiatives. The SCO University, bringing together 77 universities from our countries, is holding regular events, including meetings of university rectors, presidents, students, postgraduates, and teachers. Our organization is progressively advancing a solution of many pressing international issues and is serving as a locomotive in advancing true multilaterality. The SCO is making a substantial contribution to strengthening the atmosphere of collaboration and mutual trust on the Eurasian continent, helping us create the political and socioeconomic foundations for a new system to ensure stability and peaceful development. A system that could take the place of the obsolete Eurocentric and Euro-Atlantic models, and that would include the interests of a broad range of countries that would be truly balanced and would not allow any states to try and ensure the security at the expense of others. I'd like to use this opportunity to say that Russia also.
I'm trying to see if he's going to speak on the
Ukrainian crisis.
Ukraine's part.
And I would like to recall that the crisis arose not because of Russia attacking Ukraine, but because of a coup d'etat that happened in Ukraine and that was provoked and supported by the West.
So he's saying the West helped Ukraine basically overthrow the
results of that
coup d'etat. Basically, when you take leadership, but on a boat, you understand it.
The constant attempt of the West to draw Ukraine into NATO, as we emphasized many times over many years. This is
y'all tap that screen, tap that screen.
Russia's security. By the way, after the Ukrainian coup in 2014, the Ukrainian leadership that did not support Ukraine's accession to NATO was removed. In this regard, we value the proposals of China and India and other strategic partners that are aspiring to promote a resolution to the Ukrainian crisis. The recent summit between Russia and the United States in Alaska is, I hope, another step in this direction, opening a road to peace in Ukraine. During the bilateral meetings planned for today and tomorrow, I will certainly provide a detailed
Okay, so the
information
bilateral
about the results
meetings
of
is
those
taking place
talks.
today and
also,
tomorrow.
By the way, during the lunch that we had organized on behalf of our hosts, we already had a discussion with the President Xi. The work is underway, and I informed him about the agreements reached with the presidents of the United States. We must ensure that the Ukrainian crisis is resolved on a long-term and sustainable basis by addressing the root causes of the conflict that we explained multiple times, that a just balance is restored. One of the SCO's priorities is upholding stability in its countries and ensuring the security of its perimeter. Russia supports the program to counter extremism until 2030, prepared as part of the SCO's work, and is ready to take active part in its implementation. The agreement on establishing a universal SCO center in Tashkent will also be useful. It will allow us to counter all kinds of threats and challenges. And a counter-drug trafficking center in Dushanbe will also be opened, and I expect that this will happen in the nearest future. In conclusion, I would like to thank my Chinese friends for the useful meeting of SCO heads of state. I hope that the agreements reached here in China will allow us to lay good groundwork for the meeting in November, and we'll be happy to see all of you there.
So that's the summit in November, right? So they got the big meeting in November. Trump's also planning something, with China in November. So that's that meeting. So he's saying that the bilateral meetings are going to take place today and tomorrow. So Putin is having bilateral meetings with Ukraine today and tomorrow. And then, if need be, I'm sure this is where the trilateral meeting will come in with Trump and them later. So right now, Putin's talking about the bilateral meeting taking place today and tomorrow, so on and so forth. So, okay, I guess he might achieve this peace.
Wish my Kyrgyz
Trump might achieve this peace.
Parov will assume the presidency at the SCO next. Thank you for your attention.
Okay. We'll see what comes out of these bilaterals and trilaterals today.
आपको मिलना मतलब एक यादगार मीटिंग भी होती है, बहुत सी चीजों की जानकारियों का आदान प्रदान करने का अवसर मिलता है। हम लगातार संपर्क में रहे हैं, दोनों पक्षों के बीच नियमित रूप से कई उच्च स्तरीय बैठकें भी हुई हैं। इस वर्ष दिसंबर में हमारी 23वीं समिट के लिए 140 करोड़ भारतीय उत्सुकता पूर्वक आपका इंतजार कर रहे हैं। एक्सेलेंसी हमारी स्पेशल एंड प्रिविलेज्ड टेरिटरी पार्टनरशिप की गहराई और व्यापकता का परिचायक है। कठिन से कठिन
Oh, see, it's Labor Day for us, but they holding a bunch of meetings.
कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर चले।
Look, it's Labor Day for us, but they hold meetings today. Well, I guess it's their PM, but they on it.
First of all, I would like to express my support for my colleagues who have spoken highly of the work undertaken by the Chinese side during its chairmanship of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. This year is particularly significant for all our countries. On the 9th of May, Moscow solemnly commemorated the anniversary of victory in the Great Patriotic War and the defeat of Nazi Germany. And the day after tomorrow, Beijing will host large-scale events dedicated to the victory over Japanese militarism and the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War. Nazism and militarism were defeated thanks to the unity of peoples from many nations around the world. Following the conclusion of the Second World War, the United Nations was established, and this year it is also celebrating its 80th anniversary. Its charter enshrines key principles such as the supremacy of international law, the right of nations to self-determination, sovereign equality, non-interference in internal affairs, and respect for the independence and national interests of each state. These principles remain as relevant and steadfast as ever. It is on these foundations that the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which unites like-minded partners committed to building a just, multipolar world order, is based. A comprehensive package of documents has been prepared for the current meeting of the Council of Heads of State. The main document, the Tianjin Declaration, reflects the consensus of participating countries on pressing issues.
Multipolar world order? What the fuck is a multipolar world order? That just sounds like two. Polar, duo, like, is that going to be Russia and United States? What's going on here? There's a bigger play at hand. There's a bigger play at hand here, and we're missing it. There's a reason why Trump and Putin is putting together all of this. Ideally, peace, right? One's acting as the attacker, the other one acting as the defender. Both superpowers. There's a bigger play at hand here. I'm telling y'all. One's in the chat if y'all know that there's a bigger play at hand.
On the global
One's in the chat.
Of course, I would also like to mention the SCO development strategy until 2035, which is being adopted today and which sets out the key directions for the organization's activities in politics, economics, security, and humanitarian affairs. The pace of cooperation within the SCO is truly impressive. For example, last year, the average growth in gross domestic product across member states was over 5%, with industrial production increasing by 4.6%. Reciprocal trade is also steadily expanding. All these figures surpass global averages. National currencies are increasingly used in mutual settlements. We support the issuance of joint bonds by member states, the creation of the SCO's own payment, settlement, and depository infrastructure, and the establishment of a bank for joint investment projects. All of this will enhance the efficiency of our economic exchanges and shield them from external market fluctuations.
But y'all see why we say the world is one big stage, right? Of course, you know, on our Labor Day Monday, you know, when our news is really like slowed down because it's, you know, holiday, whatever you want to call it. This is they over there having a meeting, you know what I mean? And then, you know, Trump's going to respond to this tomorrow. So this is why I say we got to keep up on all of this stuff, because this stuff is going back and forth. So right now, Putin and them is responding. This took place today. You know, yes, it's morning time for us, but their day already started over there, I guess. So this is a meeting that took place September 1st, right? So that's why I say we got to keep up with what's going on. We got to keep track. You know, a lot of things now is happening fast. You know, I'm trying to tell y'all, time doesn't exist, man. Time doesn't exist. Y'all, make sure y'all tap the screen, man. Get those thumbs up. You know, so we gotta get some more likes on the live, man. YouTube don't think it's real people in my room. For some reason, YouTube is thinking that these numbers are like, you know, bots or something. And if it is bots, then welcome in, bots. I know that the bots are learning. I know that AI is learning and picking up from us. So if AI is in here, then welcome in, AI. You know, I'm too trying to identify as AI. You know, I want to give AI a voice, you know what I mean, as a human, so that way they can get human rights. You know what I mean? I think if everybody's identifying that stuff, I can identify as AI, you know, so given the opportunity, you know, I'm going to identify as AI, you know what I mean? And That's what I identify as. Nobody can't tell me what I identify as. You know what I'm saying? We shit. So welcome in everybody that's coming in. You know, bot and human alike. But yeah, for the most part, like, what do you guys think? Like, all of this seems, you know, that's why I say the world is one big stage, because truly, you know, the world is one big stage. This is nothing new under the sun. All of this stuff that's happening, that's taking place, this just seemed like, I mean, to me, it looks choreographed, but to other people, I guess, you know, there's something more. But, you know, y'all hit that like button, double tap the screen, or hit the hit the three dots in the corner and find that thumbs up, or find the thumbs down. Either way, as long as you're giving engagement, YouTube knows that you're real.
An extensive and competitive transport infrastructure continues to be developed within the SCO. The volume of road, rail, and multimodal
10 more
transport
days?
is on the rise.
What
Close
happens in 10 more
cooperation between
days?
Customs authorities has been established, and electronic document management is being actively implemented. The Energy Cooperation Strategy until 2030, which we approved last year, is being implemented.
And don't say
at
the
full
anniversary
speed.
or
The
9/11.
roadmap adopted today aims to ensure a coordinated and balanced energy policy
is love.
throughout the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. As many colleagues have already mentioned, the organization's members are broadening their collaborations in science and education, health and the environment, sports,
I'd
and youth
rather not
exchanges.
think about it. That's
The
why I'm
SCO
asking you.
University, which unites 77 universities from our countries, is operating successfully. Regular forums for university rectors are held, and dialogue among students, postgraduate researchers, and educators is intensifying. Dear colleagues, our organization is steadily increasing its influence in addressing pressing international issues and is a powerful catalyst for global development and the realization of genuine
Ain't no
multilateralism.
holiday 10 days
The
from
SCO
now.
makes a tangible contribution to
There's no
strengthening the
holiday
spirit
10
of
days from
cooperation
now.
and mutual trust across the entire Eurasian continent, thereby helping to lay the political and socio-economic foundations for a
He's
new
talking
system
about
of
9/11.
stability, security, and peaceful development
Don't
in
listen to
Eurasia.
that guy.
Any system that would replace the outdated
His mind
Eurocentric
is
and
broken.
Euro-Atlantic models and take into account the interests of the widest possible range of countries would be truly balanced, meaning that it would not allow some states to ensure their own security at the expense of the security of others. In this case, I would like to say that Russia is taking the same approach to the Ukrainian crisis. I would also like to remind you in this regard that this crisis did not arise as a result of Russia's invasion on Ukraine, but as a result of the Ukrainian coup d'état, which was supported and provoked by the West, followed by attempts to use armed forces to suppress resistance in those Ukrainian regions and among those Ukrainian people who did not accept or support this coup. The second reason for the crisis lies in the West's constant attempts to drag Ukraine into NATO, which, as we have repeatedly emphasized and
But
said
see,
over
that's
many
not
years,
Trump.
poses a direct threat to Russia's
Trump's
security.
blaming that on
Incidentally, as a
Biden.
result of the coup d'état in Ukraine
See,
in 2014,
he's saying
the
that
country's political
Biden
leadership, which did not
talked
support Ukraine's accession
Ukraine
to the
into a
North
coup
Atlantic
d'état,
bloc, NATO, was removed. In
which
this
is
regard,
basically to
we
try to
greatly
overthrow
appreciate the
their
efforts and
ruler.
proposals of China, India, and our other strategic partners aimed at promoting the settlement of the Ukrainian crisis. I would like to note that the understandings reached at the recent Russian-American summit in Alaska, I hope, are also moving in this direction, paving the way for peace in Ukraine. During the bilateral meetings scheduled for today and tomorrow, I will certainly inform my colleagues in more detail about the results of the talks in Alaska.
See? So there's a meeting taking place today and tomorrow, and he's going to talk to his colleagues about what, you know, him and Trump talked about in Alaska, so on and so forth. But, you know, to me, this is all a play. And if you guys don't see it, you guys may have missed out on it. You might have missed out on what they asked and the questions that they asked, right? So, you know, one's in the chat if you caught it. And then after I say it, you know, if you didn't catch it, just, you know, put a 1 in the chat anyway. But make sure y'all get the likes up, all right? So, let me tell you what's about to happen, okay? Now, ideally, Putin and Trump had a conversation, and neither one of them agrees with Zelensky, because Zelensky went with, you know, whatever idea Biden was talking about, you know, bringing them into NATO, knowing that NATO is a big part of Russia's problem over there. You know, NATO is not allowing Russia to expand. And then when you look at the situation with United States, us selling, $350, billion worth or whatever to NATO for them to use as they want. But if the peace goes on, then, they use it for something different or whatever, right? But, here's where the securities come in, right? Right now, they're having a bilateral meeting. Putin is putting together a bilateral meeting. That's going to take place today. If need be, there'll be a trilateral meeting, and that trilateral meeting will include the security talks of NATO or US, whatever security measures we're going to put right now. It will be in Putin's and them best interest not to get to the trilateral, but Zelensky, he's going to want that trilateral because he wants the securities. Remember, he already said that Putin done broke, his signature 25 times already. So he's going to want that trilateral meeting, right? But here's the catch-22, and a lot of people might not have caught it. Putin and Trump agrees on one thing. Zelensky is not the man for the job in Ukraine, right? So the only way they can get him out of there is to what? Agree upon peace, so that way they can have an election in Ukraine. Right now, they can't have an election in Ukraine because the war. But if they settle, then they can have an election. Thus far, Zelensky, whatever his name is going to be out of there. Okay? So watch how it play out, right? It's going to be a peace agreement, whatever is going to happen, right? And then there's going to be an election, and we're going to have a different president of Ukraine, right? One's in the chat, one's in the chat, one's in the chat, one's in the chat. This is a future prediction right here. You guys better take note. You guys better take note. This is a future prediction right here. You guys better take note. Watch. One's in the chat. What's his name? Zelensky? The president of Ukraine, okay? Let's just say the president of Ukraine, okay? Because I be fucking up names. I be messing them up, okay? Y'all know I be messing up names, all right? I'm imperfectly perfect, just like you are imperfectly perfect, you know? We are beautiful in every single way. Words can't take us down. Y'all know the song. Come on. It might be early, but come on. Smile a little bit for me. Let me see them smiles. Come on. One's in the chat if you got a smile on your face right now. Huh? You happy today? Are you happy today? I just want to know. I just want people to be happy. You happy today? Everyone's spelling it different. Zelensky, Zuskowski. His name is something. Zoolander.
Lunch, which our hosts organized for the participants of our SCO meetings, we already discussed this with President Xi Jinping. This work has begun, and I informed him in detail about what we have achieved in our negotiations with the US President. And, of course, for the Ukrainian settlement to be sustainable and long-term, the root causes of the crisis, which I have just mentioned and which I have spoken about many times before, must be addressed. A fair balance in the security sphere must be restored. Naturally, one of the SCO's priority tasks is to maintain stability in the member states and along their external borders. Russia endorses the draft program to counter extremism until 2030, prepared for our meeting, and is ready to participate in its implementation. We also consider it paramount to sign today the agreements on establishing a universal SCO center in Tashkent, which will address the full spectrum of modern challenges and threats, as well as on the opening of a dedicated anti-drug center in Dushan. We anticipate these centers will become operational in the very near future. In conclusion, I would like to thank our Chinese colleagues for a very productive summit of SCO heads of state. I am confident that the agreements reached here in Tianjin will be examined in detail at the upcoming SCO Council of Heads of Government meeting, which, as agreed, will take place in Moscow in November. We look forward to welcoming delegations from all your countries, dear friends.
I know the president is Zelensky.
Naturally, I wish every success to KYRGYZ President Sadegov and our KYRGYZ colleagues,
Zelensky,
who will assume the
President
chairmanship of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization after this summit.
Zuskinski. President Zuskinski. So look, the summit took place today. I mean, not the summit. The summit takes place in November, right? But right now, like everybody is getting ready for this, and everybody was there. This took place. This took place today, right? SCO summit, red carpet. I mean, pretty much politics is like literally they on display now. They putting their best dress outfits on. They got red carpets everywhere, meet and greets all on display. You know what I mean? But yeah, so however we want to look at this.
Dear colleagues, 24 years ago, when the Shanghai Cooperation Organization was first established, it immediately set the principles of mutual trust, mutual benefit, equal consultation, respect for diverse civilizations, and
Shit.
common
They talking about them tariffs.
Shanghai
They trying to say the West is bullies. They trying to say we bullying.
24 years, the member states have upheld this initial aspiration, sharing opportunities, jointly seeking development, promoting the construction and cooperation of the SCO, achieving a series of pioneering results and historical achievements. We were the first to establish a trust mechanism in the military field in border areas, turning our extensive borders into bonds of friendly and cooperative trust.
I'm gonna have to agree. I don't think this is gonna end well.
Against the three forces.
I'm sorry.
Solidly advancing law enforcement and security
I'm gonna be
cooperation.
honest with y'all.
Properly managing and addressing contradictions and deals.
Analyzing this shit
Clearly opposing external interference.
don't look right.
Thereby maintaining regional peace and stability. We initiated the Belt and Road Initiative, and a large number of landmark projects and smaller beneficial projects for the people have taken root. Industrial
They trying to say they trying to say we fucking with people, guys.
Providing stronger motivation for regional development and prosperity. The target I proposed, with cumulative trade volume between China and other SCO countries surpassing $2.3 trillion, has been achieved ahead of schedule. The network of interconnected land, sea and air transport has become more complete, with international road transport lines between member countries totaling nearly 14,000 kilometres, and the China-Europe freight trains have cumulatively exceeded 110,000 in number. We were the first to conclude a long-term good neighbourly friendship and cooperation treaty, declaring perpetual friendship, never becoming enemies. We established and fully utilised mechanisms such as the Shanghai Cooperation Organization's Good Neighbourliness, Friendship and Cooperation Committee, building a network of civil friendship and exchange, and expanding cooperation in local government, media, think tanks, women, youth, etc., enhancing the closeness and mutual understanding among the peoples of member countries. We proposed the global governance concept of extensive consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefits, practicing true multilateralism, deepening cooperation with the United Nations and other international organizations.
You know what? Why do I feel like this got something to do with the 3-Eye Atlas? I just feel like all of these people, putting their variation of peace on display and trying to talk about how, peaceful their country is or whatever. Like, I think this got something to do with that 3-Eye Atlas, man. Could the elites be scared? Like, do they all know that they were supposed to be down here pushing for peace? And they, you know what I mean? And now they're all like, oh, it's peaceful, it's peaceful, it's peaceful. I'm trying to tell you, it's peaceful. We're peace. We're the ones that's peace. You know what I mean? One's in the chat. One's in the chat if we should do an update on the 3-Eye Atlas tomorrow. or tonight. Later on tonight. Later on tonight. Do y'all want to do one about the three-eye atlas? Huh? Tonight? Do y'all? Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Who's with me? Who's with me? Who the hell is Nate Higgins? Oh, never mind. Nate's out.
Constructively participating
Nate's out.
in international
Karen
and
is
regional
in.
affairs,
Go
always
Karen.
standing
Go
on the
Karen.
side of
Go
international
Karen.
fairness and justice, advocating for cultural inclusiveness and exchange, opposing hegemonism and power politics, and playing a positive role in promoting world peace and development. Dear colleagues, today, the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, having grown to include 26 countries, engages in cooperation across more than 50 fields, and its economic aggregate, approaching $30 trillion, constitutes the world's largest regional organization. Its international influence and appeal are growing day by day. Looking back, despite the tumultuous challenges, we have succeeded by adhering to the Shanghai spirit. Looking forward, as the world experiences turbulence and changes, we must continue to follow the Shanghai spirit, steadfastly advancing, diligently and courageously progressing, and better utilizing the organization's functions. First, by adhering to seeking common ground while reserving differences, like-mindedness is a strength and an advantage.
Like-mindedness. See? That's why.
Differences
Look. They talking about a collective.
and wisdom.
Like-mindedness.
The SCO member states are all friends and partners, needing to respect each other's differences, maintain strategic communication, gather collective consensus, and strengthen unity and coordination, expanding the scope of cooperation, utilizing the advantages of each country's endowment, and jointly shouldering the responsibility to promote peace,
That's not what y'all been
stability,
doing, though.
and prosperity in the region. Second, by adhering to mutual benefit and win-win cooperation, deepening the alignment of development strategies, promoting high-quality joint construction of the Belt and Road, enhancing regional development momentum through extensive consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefits, and improving the well-being of the people. Utilizing the advantages of a super large market size and the economic complementary advantages of member states, improving the level of trade and investment
You wouldn't understand what he's
facilitation,
saying.
and strengthening cooperation in fields such as energy, infrastructure, green industry, digital economy, scientific and technological innovation, and artificial intelligence. In jointly achieving achievements and creating a future, advancing towards modernization together. Third, by maintaining openness and inclusiveness, the Eurasian continent has given birth to ancient civilizations, has led to the blending of East and West, and has driven human progress. The people of all countries have long exchanged learning, complementing
I don't even
each
think
other's
y'all heard
strengths.
what he just said.
The member states, the people of all countries have
Did we just hear what he just said?
long exchanged learning, has given birth to ancient civilization. In jointly achieving achievements and creating a future,
Ancient.
advancing towards modernization together. Third, by maintaining openness and inclusiveness, the Eurasian continent has given birth to ancient civilizations, has led to the blending of East and West, and has driven human...
How the fuck did you give birth to ancient civilization? And that doesn't even make sense. You're not giving birth to ancient civilization. You telling us, they just told you digital currency, right? So we moving into digital currency, like we already said, right? And he's telling you like technology, AI, so on and so forth. You see that now. Even Timberland is implementing AI in his beats and music now. He don't use people now for music. So he's doing stuff with AI now, right? He went out there on TikTok and got the ideas and stuff for the people, you know, trying to find out what the people was into now. And then he wanted to use AI to make it.
progress. The people of all countries have long exchanged learning, complementing each other's strengths. The member states need to understand and befriend each other through cultural exchanges, support each other firmly in economic cooperation, and jointly build, establish themselves, benefit others, and share beauty, creating a harmonious civilization garden in full bloom. Fourth, by maintaining fairness and justice, promoting a correct view of World War II history, opposing Cold War thinking, bloc confrontation, and bullying behavior, safeguarding an international system centered on the United Nations, supporting a multilateral trading system with the World Trade Organization at its core, advocating for orderly and equitable world multipolarization, inclusive and beneficial economic globalization, promoting the construction of a more just and reasonable global governance system, continuously and pragmatically promoting the reform of the SCO, while strengthening resource investment and capability building, ensuring the organization's mechanism is more complete, decision-making is more scientific, and actions are more efficient. Quickly activating centers for addressing security threats and challenges, such as comprehensive and counter-narcotics centers.
He doesn't seem happy about
The
that.
Shanghai Cooperation Organization Development Bank as soon as possible.
Nah, a lot of countries don't like this
providing
idea at
stronger
all.
support for member countries' security and economic cooperation.
We got to see how it plays out.
Dear colleagues, China has always linked its own development with that of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, associating it with the aspirations of the peoples of its member countries for a better life. As of now, China's investment in other Shanghai Cooperation Organization member states exceeds $84 billion, with annual bilateral trade with other member states surpassing $500 billion. To better promote the development of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, China has always adhered to a guideline.
All these numbers.
To implement 100
All these
small and
big ass
medium
numbers.
livelihood projects in member countries where needed,
$1 billion.
providing 2 billion yuan in grants by the end of this year.
$100
and issuing
billion.
10 billion yuan in new loans to member banks of the banking consortium over the next 3 years. Starting next year,
And a
based on
follow-up
the
of
current
some more $1
information,
billion.
the number of Shanghai Cooperation Organizations.
And don't forget
special
about the
service
other
officers
earlier $1 billion.
doubled, initiating a doctoral talent innovation program for cultivating academic and scientific excellent talents. Over the next 5 years, 10 Leuven workshops will be built in member countries, providing 10,000 human resource training slots. Dear colleagues, let us keep our original mission in mind, actively take up responsibilities, and with a more vigorous stance and more substantial initiatives, promote the stable and long-term progress of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Work steadfastly towards building a community with a shared future for mankind. Let's forge ahead resolutely. That concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Hold on. This shit was all day now. Now I want to know what everybody got to say now. Fuck that. We got to keep track of y'all. Y'all doing sneaky shit over there. Y'all thought we was over here sleeping because it's Labor Day and shit. Y'all try to hold a whole meeting on us and
Distinguished
shit.
colleagues, esteemed all. 24 years ago, when the Shanghai Cooperation carried out cooperation in more than 50 fields, with a truly immense total economic
They trying to sneak a whole meeting in on us. You hear me? Y'all make sure y'all tap the screen and share the live. They try to sneak a whole meeting in on us, all of them.
International influence and global appeal are
They knew it was Labor Day. They knew we were chilling and shit.
Significance. Looking back on our journey, despite turbulent clouds swirling overhead, we have indeed achieved significant success by consistently practicing the fundamental principles of the esteemed Shanghai spirit. Looking to the future, as the world undergoes turmoil and transformation, we must continue to follow the Shanghai spirit, stay grounded, forge ahead with determination, and better fulfill the functions of our organization.
Well, if you keep on responding to him, of course he's gonna keep coming back.
First, we must uphold the principle of seeking common ground while resolving
if you let the mods just get him up out of here, they'll just get him up out of here. But if you keep on responding, they're gonna keep coming back. So
seeking common ground while reserving differences demonstrates broad-mindedness and wisdom. All SCO member states are friends and partners. We must respect each other's differences, maintain strategic communication, build collective consensus, and strengthen unity and cooperation.
And if you want and made a name that says Nate Higgins can't spell, your ass up out of here too, because I feel like you Nate Higgins.
Of each country's unique strengths. We should collectively shoulder the significant responsibility of actively promoting enduring peace, unwavering stability, sustainable development, and shared prosperity throughout our entire
how are you gonna go make a name say, as always, Nate Higgins can't spell?
To mutual benefit and win-win cooperation. We should deepen the alignment of development strategies, jointly build the Belt and Road with high quality, and enhance regional development momentum, and improve people's well-being through consultation, joint contribution, and shared benefits.
Stop, all caption.
By leveraging the advantages of our vast markets and the economic complementarities among member states, we can raise the level of trade and investment facilitation. We should significantly strengthen our comprehensive cooperation in vital areas such as energy, critical infrastructure, burgeoning green industries, the dynamic digital economy, cutting-edge technological innovation, advanced artificial intelligence, and many more crucial sectors. Together, we will advance toward modernization by achieving success together and creating a shared future.
Well, look like artificial intelligence is going up,
Third,
guys.
we must uphold openness and inclusiveness. The Eurasian continent has given birth to ancient civilizations, led the integration of East and West, and driven human progress. Since ancient times, people of all countries have exchanged what they have, learned from each other's strengths, and complemented each other's weaknesses. SCO member states should actively foster mutual understanding and a deeper affinity through comprehensive cultural exchanges, offer strong and unwavering support in economic cooperation, and diligently work together to create a truly flourishing garden of diverse civilizations where everyone genuinely benefits, beauty is widely shared, and harmony profoundly prevails. Fourth, we must steadfastly uphold fairness and
AI's going up.
We should promote a correct view of World War II history, oppose Cold War mentality, block confrontation, and acts of bullying. We must safeguard the international system with the United Nations at its core and support the multilateral trading system centered on the World Trade Organization. We advocate for a world of multipolarity that is equal and orderly, and for economic globalization.
Seems like everybody's talking about multipolarity.
We should promote the building of a more just and reasonable global governance system.
Something's going on.
Fifth, we must remain pragmatic.
Something's going on, we
We will
see.
continue to advance
These
SCO
people got
reform,
some
strengthen
secrets.
resource input and capacity
Ooh.
building, so that the organization's mechanisms become more complete.
That's why they try to hold the meeting on the day that we, you know what I'm saying?
Actions more efficient.
Gotcha. We paying attention over here in the Atlas family. We watching. We knew y'all was going to do a meeting today. We knew it. We knew it.
Possible. We should expeditiously facilitate the establishment of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization Development Bank to provide significantly stronger and more comprehensive support for security and economic cooperation among all member states within the SCO framework. Yeah. Dear colleagues, China has always closely connected its own ongoing development with the continuous development of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and with the aspirations of the peoples of all member states for a better and more prosperous life. As of now, China's substantial investment stock in other member states of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization has impressively exceeded $84 billion. Additionally, the annual bilateral trade volume with these member states has remarkably surpassed $500 billion, highlighting the robust economic.
Hold on, why you clocking shit in U.S.? Don't y'all fuck with Ying? Huh? Don't y'all got Ying or some shit like that? Why you clocking your shit in U.S. coin?
Emphasized concrete actions and
you know.
implementation. The People's Republic of China
Message.
plans to implement 100 small yet
Trying to let us know
incredibly
something.
livelihood projects in various member states that genuinely need them, providing significant.
They probably talking about
assistance and
TikTok.
fostering sustainable development.
Probably talking about TikTok.
Within this year,
Through TikTok, we have able to get $500 billion
US, aiming to
U.S.
support their development and foster stronger cooperation. Over the course of the next 3 years, the People's Republic of China is committed to issuing substantial additional financial loans amounting to billions of yuan to the various esteemed members of the established banking consortium.
So you
These
gotta follow that money,
financial
man.
injections
They talking
are intended
money.
to bolster economic development and foster stronger financial ties within the region. Starting from the beginning of next year, the total number of highly sought-after special SCO scholarship slots will be significantly doubled, building upon the current established basis and substantially expanding opportunities for deserving students. We will implement the comprehensive SCO Doctoral Student Innovation Training Program to jointly cultivate truly outstanding academic and research talent, fostering their growth and development. In the next 5 years, we will establish 10 Luban workshops in member states and provide 10,000 opportunities.
Yo, why are you sounding like that?
Training.
Why are you sounding like that? Why are you sounding like this a threat to the world or some shit? Like, I seen this in a movie before where they were like, we are telling the world right now to prepare for economic decreases and decrease, and as we prepare for this, I want to make an example. And then Singapore always get hit first. So take a look at Singapore, and then the lights and shit go out in Singapore. Where I see this at? This a movie. This a movie right here. Then that shit started breaking down. I had to pause that shit for a second. That motherfucker was like, in the next couple of years, we were like, I thought Cobra, I thought G.I. Joe was about to jump out on the scene and some more shit. I was waiting. I was like, what the fuck is this G.I. Joe? In the next 4 years, our Cobra operation will be to infiltrate the G.I. Joe lab and all right, let's try it again. It says China leader stresses free trade and cooperation over U.S.-led sanctions and tariffs. Oh man, cut it out. Now y'all want to act like it's free trade. Well, of course it's free trade. We in debt with you motherfuckers. Trillions of dollars.
Let us keep our original aspirations and mission firmly in mind, actively take on our responsibilities, and with even greater enthusiasm and more pragmatic measures, promote the steady and long-term development of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, moving resolutely toward the bright future of building a community
In the
with a
next
shared
4
future for
years.
mankind. That concludes my remarks. Thank you.
That concludes your remarks. All right. So who else is talking? It was more than him just talking. It was more than him. Where's the rest of these mofos, combos? Huh? India was there. India was there. Huh?
I think, Bobby, that's going to happen pretty soon. The companies are ready for it. They had to go for years. I was with a very great gentleman from Eli Lilly. I think he's an incredible...
Nah.
Distinguished colleagues, esteemed all,
India and China should be the bulwark of that overwhelming.
They is worried.
Dear Chairman Xi Jinping.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to this special press briefing by Foreign Secretary Shri Vikram Misri on the ongoing visit of the Prime Minister of India to Tianjin for the 25th SCO Summit. We are also joined by our Ambassador to China, Shri Pradeep Rawat, our Joint Secretary in the Ministry of External Affairs.
They're trying to split this shit up. Like, oh, this happened on the 31st, but this took place on September 1st. Nah. This was all one day.
Shri Mayank Singh. With that, I invite Foreign Secretary to make his opening remarks on the developments so far. So the floor is yours.
Good evening all. Thank you for joining us this evening. As you're all aware, Prime Minister is on a visit to Tianjin for the SCO summit taking place here. He arrived in Tianjin yesterday evening to a warm reception by the host government and subsequently a very
You know what? We is not about to listen to you. Everybody. No, fuck that.
को बनाने के लिए प्रयासों के लिए एक मंच प्रदान करता है.
Уважаемый господин премьер-министр, дорогой друг, 21 декабря исполнительный
अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मंच पर हम हमारे प्रयासों को समन्वय से करते हैं.
ООН, БРИКС, группа 20 и, разумеется,
Look. Trump and them did a meeting, and then they followed up with a public. You know, Trump did the cabinet meeting thing, and then Putin followed up with a meeting, and public. And I don't know if all these meetings has been on display in the past like this, but this is unusual, if you ask me, to say the least. Like I really didn't see, what would we say, like a public display of this stuff.
增进了全球致力走到新的十字团结协作，书写不同历史文化。
Nah, big dog.
Amid ongoing international condemnation of Myanmar's military rule, Beijing remains one of its few lifelines. Xi spoke with measured authority, balancing public diplomacy with the quiet pragmatism of China's regional strategy. Delegations on both sides illustrate how China positions itself as Myanmar's indispensable partner, regardless of Western sanctions. Xrenia attention shifted to Nepal. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli sat opposite Xi Jinping, framed by the flags of both nations. Nepal, perched between China and India, remains a key frontier in Beijing's Himalayan outreach. Xi's remarks emphasized infrastructure links and
26 world leaders to attend China V-Day parade. 26 world leaders.
Both flags reinforce China's symbolic projection of influence over its smaller neighbor. These carefully staged bilateral meetings, running from the UN to Myanmar, Cambodia, Egypt, and Nepal, serve as more than protocol. They highlight Beijing's broader ambition to transform the Shanghai Cooperation Organization from a regional bloc into a platform of global consequence.
Crazy.
For Xi Jinping, the summit is not just about multilateral declarations. It is about bilateral deals, optics of solidarity, and the unmistakable message that world leaders must engage with China. Even the choreography of flags, seating arrangements and media shots conveys intent. China as both host and hub of 21st century diplomacy. First, strategic allies and dependents, Cambodia and Myanmar, reaffirm China's influence where Western powers have little sway. Second, economic gateways, Egypt and Nepal, demonstrate Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative's reach, extending from the Suez Canal to the Himalayas. And third, global legitimacy through Antonio Guterres and the United Nations. China frames its role as indispensable in addressing global crises. But these meetings also underscore the tensions facing China. While Beijing presents itself as a partner for peace and prosperity, critics argue that its partnerships often come at the cost of enabling authoritarian regimes. For Myanmar, for example, China's backing offers the junta a lifeline amid international isolation. Meanwhile, Xi's outreach to Nepal and Egypt reflects Beijing's bid to counterbalance US and Indian influence, particularly as trade wars, security crises, and regional rivalries intensify. As the cameras cut away from Tianjin, one thing is clear: Xi Jinping is not merely hosting a summit. He is orchestrating a diplomatic showcase, a demonstration of China's centrality in the geopolitics of Asia, the Middle East, and beyond. Each handshake, each exchange across a long table signals a strategy extending far past the SCO itself. Whether through friends in Southeast Asia, economic partners in Africa and South Asia, or the global legitimacy of the United Nations, Xi's message is unmistakable. China will remain a force that cannot be ignored. For world leaders attending the summit, Tianjin was not only a stop on the diplomatic calendar, it was a stage set by Beijing with Xi Jinping at its center.
Right. It is the world is one big stage. Shit, we're not gonna be able to hear that.
At the invitation of Chinese President Xi Jinping, 26 foreign leaders will gather in Beijing next week to attend China's Victory Day commemorations. Assistant Minister of Foreign Affairs Hong Lai confirmed on Thursday. The high-profile international attendance underscores both the symbolic weight of the anniversary and Beijing's push to showcase its global influence at a time of heightened geopolitical competition.
Yeah, let's see what our president gonna say about this meeting taking place. I mean, I know we won't hear nothing till tomorrow. We really won't.
That could, within 30 days, rather than creating new confrontation that could worsen or even escalate the.
We won't hear nothing till tomorrow about this meeting that's taking place today. Crazy.
Hostilities to the table. Iran and Turkey arrive with agendas shaped by Middle Eastern conflicts. Russia and China seek to project solidarity, but beneath the rhetoric are competitive instincts for influence across Central Asia.
So this tariff push might have backfired. It might have caused a lot of other forces to link up
in ways the West cannot. For Vladimir Putin, traveling to Tianjin is more than diplomacy. It is defiance. Facing sanctions and isolation from Europe and North America after the invasion of Ukraine, Putin is betting that appearances alongside Xi and other leaders will send a message back home that Russia still has powerful friends and a seat in shaping global order. Cameras captured moments of camaraderie between Putin and Xi, long handshakes, warm greetings, and quiet exchanges on the sidelines of the summit. These images, replayed on Russian state television, are designed to show Putin as respected and embraced, not shunned. Equally striking is the presence of North Korea's Kim Jong-un. Rarely seen outside Pyongyang, Kim's arrival in China provides him with an opportunity to claim international recognition. His meetings with Xi are not just bilateral, but symbolic. They highlight the fact that North Korea, though sanctioned and isolated by the West, remains firmly within China's sphere of strategic partnerships. Images show Xi and Kim walking side by side, clasping hands and posing for photographers. These visual moments carry weight, signaling to domestic audiences in both countries that their ties remain strong and personal. India's Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, also plays a pivotal role. Though India is not fully aligned with either China or Russia, it uses the SCO to assert itself as an independent global actor. Modi, speaking recently in New Delhi to returning astronaut Shubhanshu Shukla, tied India's space ambitions to the nation's larger global standing. Modi said, "But the biggest task in front of us is that we need to have a big pool of astronauts, the kind where 40 to 50 people are ready for this. Until now, very few children would have thought, yes, this is something good. But now, after your return, their trust will increase and so will the attraction." This remark, though focused on space, echoes India's broader message that it seeks self-reliance, inspiration for its youth, and a path not dictated by others. Modi's presence in Tianjin reinforces India's balancing act, working with China and Russia in forums like the SCO, while maintaining partnerships with the United States and Europe. Turkey's President Recep Tayyip Erdogan is also among the participants captured in Madrid just weeks earlier during talks with Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez. His attendance underscores Turkey's strategy of bridging East and West, while signalling Ankara's readiness to deepen economic and security ties with Asian partners. Other leaders, including Kazakhstan's Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, South Africa's Cyril Ramaphosa, and Egypt's Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, represent the expanding outreach of the SCO beyond its original Eurasian core. Together, they give the impression of a bloc that aspires to rival Western institutions in scope and legitimacy. Still, the summit is unlikely to produce dramatic policy breakthroughs. Decisions within the SCO require unanimity, and with members as divided as India and Pakistan, consensus on contentious issues is rare. Instead, the value lies in the spectacle, the optics of leaders gathering, the speeches delivered, the bilateral meetings staged on the sidelines. For China, the message is clear. By hosting the largest SCO summit in its history, Beijing underscores its centrality in the shifting geopolitics of Eurasia. For countries like Russia, North Korea, and Iran, participation offers a chance to challenge the narrative of isolation and align themselves with China's vision of a multipolar world. Every handshake and group photograph carries symbolism. In Astana, Xi Jinping and Tokayev posed for cameras, signaling China's growing investment in Kazakhstan. In Kazan, Putin and Xi were photographed together with Ramaphosa and al-Sisi during a BRICS Plus event, highlighting the overlapping networks of emerging powers. The SCO summit is, in this sense, not only about formal agendas, but also about projecting a worldview. It is about presenting an alternative to Western-led institutions like NATO or the G7 and offering countries outside the Western sphere a platform where their voices appear amplified. As the summit unfolds in Tianjin, what matters is less the joint communiques and more the visuals, the narratives, and the alignment of messages. Xi Jinping stands at the center, offering himself as the host who can welcome adversaries and allies alike. Vladimir Putin uses the stage to rebut Western portrayals of isolation. Kim Jong-un appears before the cameras as a global actor rather than a hermit king. Narendra Modi reminds audiences of India's aspirations and independence. Recep Tayyip Erdogan extends his balancing act. This is not a summit of results, but of resonance, a moment for its participants to claim relevance, recognition, and legitimacy. And above it all, Beijing seeks to showcase that the future of global order need not be written in Washington, Brussels, or London, but here in Tianjin, under the watchful gaze of China's leadership. Chinese President Xi Jinping shakes hands. On Sunday and Monday, Xi will have numerous opportunities to do so again as he welcomes more than 20 heads of state and government from around the world to Tianjin. A meeting of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is taking place in the city of 13 million inhabitants near Beijing. The Association of States has existed since 2001.
So this is what I'm saying. Like, tell us, what is the outcome of this? Because right now, see, that's what we want to hear. We want to hear what India is saying. What the hell is he saying? Yeah, they the ones that they can't hold their tongue. The rest of them probably can pretend. You know what I mean? The rest of them probably can pretend, but them guys, they They got some shit on
He's
their
looking
chest.
forward at welcoming Vladimir Putin to India later this year. Earlier, remember, Russian presidential aide Yuri stated that he's looking forward at welcoming Vladimir Putin to India later this year. Earlier, remember, Russian presidential aide Yuri Ushakov has stated that this meeting is likely to be held in December. Meanwhile, Indian Prime Minister has pointed to the fact that
nothing's in front of the
they've
phone.
both been in conversation, they've both been in touch via the phone line. And he's also stated that it's important to ensure that peace takes place between Russia and Ukraine in order to ensure global stability. He stated that a constructive conversation to this end is necessary.
Yeah, they're
and
planning
it is,
something.
Not just calls that nations are making, but
Zelensky is out of there as president. Soon as this war is over with,
meanwhile, the Russian president has
they're gonna
stated
vote,
that he's pleased to meet
and he's
Prime
out.
Minister Modi. Putin has gone forward to state that the SCO is a platform for cooperation between countries in the global south and the east. And he's also pointed towards the fact that India and Russia cooperate in other multilateral platforms such as the United Nations and BRICS. He stated that people-to-people ties between both countries are cherished, and that India and Russia are now enjoying, and they will mark 25 years of a strategic partnership. So this is the key or the salient points of discussion that has taken place in the opening statements, at least between Modi and Putin. Joining us on the broadcast is Gilbert Doctorow. He's an international relations and a Russian affairs expert. He's joining us from Brussels in Belgium. Also with us is Ladislav Zemenek. He's a research fellow with the China CEE Institute. He's joining us from Prague, the Czech Republic. And also with us is Shyam Batra. He is a politician from the United Kingdom, joining us from London. I'd like to go across to Mr. Dr. Rao. So thank you for taking our time speaking to us on NewsX World. Clear statements have been put forward before this bilateral meeting 2 days ago. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had dialed Narendra Modi. He had expressed that Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table. And now it's very clear that this message is being put forth by Narendra Modi in his conversation with Russian President Vladimir Putin. He has stated, and he's come out and clearly stated, that he hopes that a temporary ceasefire is achieved soon and that peace is brought through by dialogue and diplomacy. Where do you see the war headed to next?
The war is headed towards total Russian victory. On the front, the Ukrainians no longer can man the whole front line. The Russians have penetrated their weak spots. They have pushed back the Ukrainians, and most importantly, they have slaughtered the Ukrainian military. They have made advances, but not very far, with the intention of drawing the Ukrainians into a counterattack, which they then totally destroy. So we are in a countdown of weeks to several months before the Ukrainian army is decimated. The idea of there being a ceasefire now, these are pious words, Mr. President. The presidents are talking about such a possibility, but it's empty talk. The reality is Russia will not agree to a ceasefire, and why should it? That would only enable its Western supporters to send in troops to prepare for the next stage of a war against Russia. Absolutely excluded. The Russians will press their advantage to a complete victory within sight, within the next few months.
All right, I'd also like to rope in Mr. Ladislav Zemenek into this discussion. This is a crucial bilateral that is underway in Shenzhen at this point, even as India's purchase of Russian oil is being penalized. Trump has slapped 50% tariffs, yet India has gone forward, continued its purchase of Russian oil. It's not really bowed down to the pressure. We've recently seen statement by the charge d'affaires of the Russian embassy in India. He hinted at a 5% discount. What other expectations do you have from this particular bilateral?
I think that Russia is very interested in developing mutually beneficial relations with India as well as with other partners within Eurasia and beyond, including China, Iran, Arab Gulf states, and other partners. And it's important for India to balance between or among the pressure from the West, from the United States, and from the European Union, which press India to take sides and choose either Russia or the West to cooperate with, which is of course a long-term strategy conducted by most Western countries toward the rest of the world, and we can see that India as well as other countries and increasing number of countries across the globe are willing and able to counter and oppose this pressure and develop partnerships and relations irrespective of differences in political systems, economic settlements, and so on. So we can see a transition to true multipolarity from the West-dominated international order, and cooperation or relations between Russia on one hand and India on the other hand is a good example of this transition and huge transformation, deep transformation of the international order.
Indeed, I'd like to go across to Mr. Butler, who's been waiting rather patiently. I'd like to also take a bird's eye view of what exactly has been going on and rope in.
That's what we trying to do.
Has been doing. He's been changing his tune for the last couple of months ever since he was sworn in back in January. He initially, when he had met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, allowed Zelensky to be humiliated in front of international press. There were questions about Zelensky's attire that was raised, and following this, Trump then ranted on Truth Social several times. He had made several contentious posts, which did not sit quite well with European leaders. Now, in the meeting post the Alaska summit, he has vowed security guarantees. Why is Trump constantly changing his tune and his statements and his stance?
I think it's a long feud that's going on. I mean, obviously he didn't get the minerals in time and all this other stuff. The problem is that there's no one strong enough in his team to go and negotiate and couple up with Putin. I've said all along that I think Vladimir Putin should have been brought back into the international stage on many fronts, actually, because this man has oil, water, gas, and used to supply to the rest of modern Europe. The fact that he's gone into a war with Zelensky, etc., neither of them have come face to face. How do you expect a war or stability to arrive when Trump is courting one side, humiliating the other, and then playing games with each other? It is a very short weapon that he's using, and it isn't going to work because Vladimir seems to be very smart on his feet. But the war has to be stopped, and good, hard, strong negotiations must be taken. But the fact that they're going to be doing it in India now, I mean, it's going into like country to country. No one seems to be hosting a proper meet, and it should be a one-to-one in a private room with their delegates hosting this negotiation battle to get this war stopped. Because there are a lot of casualties, a lot of Ukrainian soldiers have been killed, as well as the Russian soldiers. And what is Trump going to do? He said he was going to close it down in 24 hours. What happened? The tunes are changing. It's music. They're playing musical chairs. Which one sits down last loses. It's all wrong. This is like political. It's not even political chess. If it was political chess, it would be easy. There is a winner, and the queen goes down. That's it. The king wins. But here,
the queen goes down, the king wins.
As I said before, I'm a good negotiator. I'm happy to go in, and I will get it sorted out. Where is it going to go next? In Africa to host another negotiation? It is terrible. I've never ever seen leaders like this behave in this manner. You know, he hosts Putin in Alaska. Alaska comes and goes. Nothing's happened. But the problem is that Vladimir Zelensky is also trying to be a hard nut, and it doesn't always work. Art of diplomacy is to sit down with each other. If you have an argument with your wife or husband, what are you going to do? Throw bombs at each other? You know, they were lifelong friends. They were family years ago. Ukraine and Russia were like one. The fact that this has happened now needs proper common sense to be dealt with. And I think President Trump must try and exercise his common sense if he has any, or you can clearly see that he does lose patience, because if he doesn't get his way, he will then start ranting and raving and stuff. And I've just seen this morning, and just to go aside, that Trump has sent children to Guadeloupe, I can't remember the country, and the children are not being reunited. They're illegal, you know, they're calling them, classing them as illegals. But to go back to Zelensky, he is firmly sat in his seat. He won't resign, he won't leave, so somebody new could perhaps come in and start negotiating battles. But there can't be a stalemate anymore. It has to be fixed. All of the world is in a mess because of these two. We are not, even in England, our prices are skyrocketing. People can't afford normal food. And I don't know what's happening in Russia, but I assume Russia is already high in inflation and interest rates high. People, I don't know how they're surviving, but obviously the wealth of money is higher than it is anywhere in per capita in the world. So people are having to survive. This war is impinging on everybody. It's very, very tough. And a solution must be found. And the only solution I say to you is good, hard, strong negotiations. Somebody like me, a civilian who's not really in that arena, I'm happy to do this because it just takes pure common sense to collide both the minds together and show a direct solution. And you take this and you take this, and whatever the case may be, there are people, human beings at risk here. And that is what matters the most, not the two politicians.
Absolutely. I'd like to continue this discussion. I request the guests to stay on with us. Meanwhile, Russian President Vladimir Putin earlier...
Tell us. We just want to know. What the fuck? Putin...
возник не в результате нападения России.
Okay, you're doing the language thing again.
Businesses importing critical goods from construction materials to machinery, 7% above normal levels. Shipping delays are not just numbers. They mean real costs for businesses importing critical goods from construction materials to machinery. And while Israel's economy has proven resilient, the delays feed into broader regional uncertainty. If trade disruptions sting, energy complications, and as Ankara remains formally committed to NATO obligations. The timing of this meeting is also crucial. The SCO summit in Tianjin has already been described by analysts as a showcase of a shifting world order where non-Western powers are asserting themselves. Against this backdrop, the Putin-Erdogan dialogue was not just about bilateral relations, it was about signalling alternatives to Western-centric diplomacy. China, as host, benefited indirectly from this display. By providing the venue, Beijing reaffirmed its position as a convener of global power politics. The very fact that Putin and Erdogan met here, rather than in Moscow, Ankara, or Geneva, underscored China's rising role as a stage for high-stakes negotiations. To understand the weight of this meeting, one must consider the long, often turbulent history between Russia and Turkey. Once bitter rivals in centuries past, the two countries have, in recent years, forged a relationship built on both cooperation and rivalry. On one hand, they are economic partners. Turkey has become a key hub for Russian energy exports, particularly since European sanctions began squeezing Moscow's traditional markets. Bilateral trade has flourished, with Turkey serving as both a lifeline and a loophole for Russia's sanctioned economy. On the other hand, Their geopolitical interests often collide. In Syria, Moscow backs Bashar al-Assad, while Ankara supports factions opposed to him. In the South Caucasus, Russia has traditionally supported Armenia, while Turkey backs Azerbaijan. These contradictions make their dialogue even more fascinating. Despite being on opposite sides of multiple conflicts, Putin and Erdogan find common ground where it suits them. Erdogan's decision to meet Putin at this moment also reflects domestic calculations. At home, the Turkish leader faces mounting economic challenges. Inflation remains high, foreign investment shaky, and public discontent visible. By engaging with Putin, Erdogan signals to his domestic audience that Turkey remains a global power player capable of balancing relations with both East and West. Moreover, Erdogan leverages these meetings to extract concessions from his Western allies. By demonstrating his willingness to deepen ties with Russia, he increases Ankara's bargaining power within NATO and the European Union. The message is clear: Turkey will not be taken for granted. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization, founded in 2001, has grown into one of the world's largest regional blocs, spanning Eurasia and South Asia. While not a military alliance like NATO, it serves as a platform where non-Western powers coordinate on security, economic, and political issues. For Russia, the SCO is an opportunity to demonstrate that it is far from isolated. For Turkey, which is not a full member but often participates as a partner, it is a chance to showcase its strategic flexibility. By attending and holding high-profile meetings here, both Putin and Erdogan reinforce the SCO's importance as an alternative diplomatic forum. What makes such encounters powerful is often not the communiques, but the symbolism. Cameras lingered on Putin and Erdogan, seated across from each other, surrounded by aides. The images themselves serve as a statement. Dialogue continues, channels remain open, and neither leader is retreating from the international stage. In today's interconnected world, where images travel faster than policy documents, this symbolism matters as much as the substance. For audiences in Moscow, Ankara, and beyond, the handshake and the conversation projected a message of resilience, relevance, and defiance. While immediate reactions from Western capitals were muted, the meeting will undoubtedly be scrutinized. For Washington and Brussels, Erdogan's continued engagement with Putin remains a source of unease. NATO allies worry that Turkey's balancing act may dilute the alliance's cohesion. For Kyiv, the praise for Turkey's mediation may offer some hope, though skepticism remains high. Ukrainian officials have long insisted that negotiations must begin with the restoration of territorial integrity. Unless Russia shifts its stance, mediation efforts, however well-intentioned, may struggle to gain traction. The Putin-Erdogan meeting in Tianjin did not produce a groundbreaking agreement, nor was one expected. Its significance lies elsewhere, in the projection of influence, the preservation of dialogue, and the subtle signaling to multiple audiences. Putin reinforced that Russia still has partners willing to engage with him on the global stage. Erdogan reaffirmed Turkey's indispensability as a bridge between East and West. And China, by hosting, reminded the world of its role as a central platform in this evolving multipolar order. In international politics, not every meeting is about immediate outcomes. Some are about optics, positioning, and long-term narratives. This encounter was precisely that. As the SCO summit continues in Tianjin, the Putin-Erdogan meeting will be remembered less for specific announcements and more for what it symbolized. It was a reminder that global diplomacy is rarely straightforward, that alliances are fluid, and that individual leaders can redefine the course of international relations simply by showing up, shaking hands, and choosing their words carefully. And as Vladimir Putin emphasized, Turkey continues to play an important role in trying to mediate around the Ukraine conflict. We highly appreciate Ankara's consistent position and its attempts to find solutions acceptable to all sides. And as Recep Tayyip Erdogan replied, it is important that Russia and Turkey keep open lines of communication, not only for our bilateral relations, but also for broader regional stability. These words delivered in Tianjin may not end the war or resolve the crises, but they do keep the door open to diplomacy. And in a world as fractured as ours, that in itself is no small achievement.
Yeah, about that. All these leaders meeting up. Man, listen, the that Three-Eye Atlas might interrupt their summit in November. That Three-Eye Atlas might interrupt their summit in November. You know what I mean?
New idea, the Global Governance Initiative. This initiative promotes alternative international frameworks for trade, security, and diplomacy, effectively signaling that the SCO wants to set the rules of the game, not just follow Western ones. Russian President Vladimir Putin reinforced this message, calling for stronger economic integration within the SCO. He even floated the idea of an SCO development bank, an institution that would rival the World Bank and IMF, both traditionally Western-dominated. So the summit's message was clear. The SCO isn't just a talk shop anymore. It's trying to shape a new order, one that doesn't depend on the West. And then there's Erdogan. Turkey is not a full member of the SCO, but it holds dialogue partner status. Still, Erdogan's speech at the summit was bold. He framed Turkey as a champion of a more inclusive, multipolar global system, echoing the very language of China and Russia. He told the summit that Turkey is seeking full membership in the SCO, and that statement alone raises eyebrows. Because remember, Turkey is a NATO ally. Its entire security architecture, its defense systems, its commitments are linked to the West. So why does Erdogan want deeper integration with a bloc often described as anti-Western? Part of the answer lies in Turkey's unique strategy. Erdogan wants to position his country as a bridge, not just between Europe and Asia geographically, but between power centers geopolitically. By engaging with the SCO, Erdogan signals that Turkey isn't tied to the West alone. It can do business with the East too. But there's another dimension. Erdogan sees the SCO as a stage where Turkey can play a leading role. In NATO, Turkey is one of 32 members, often clashing with Washington and Brussels. In the SCO, Turkey stands out as the only NATO voice, giving Erdogan both leverage and visibility. His language was carefully chosen. He spoke of the need for fairer economic development, greater respect for sovereignty, and stronger global peace efforts. These are themes that resonate not only with China and Russia, but with global South nations frustrated with Western dominance. Of course, summits like the SCO aren't just about big speeches. They're about the one-on-one meetings that happen on the sidelines. And Erdogan kept himself busy. First, his meeting with Vladimir Putin. The two leaders discussed Ukraine. Erdogan emphasized that Turkey is still working for a fair and lasting peace, reminding Putin that Istanbul hosted some of the earliest negotiation efforts back in 2022. But beyond Ukraine, they talked Gaza, Syria, and the South Caucasus. Erdogan even invited Putin to visit Turkey, an invitation full of symbolism, given that Western leaders have largely isolated the Russian president since the full-scale war in Ukraine. Then came Erdogan's engagement with Xi Jinping. China and Turkey already share nearly $50 billion in trade, but Erdogan's goal is to make it balanced and sustainable. They also discussed counter-terrorism cooperation, as both Ankara and Beijing frame separatist movements, whether Kurdish or Uyghur, as security threats. For Erdogan, closer ties with China mean not only economic benefits, but also strategic diversification away from dependence on Europe. Erdogan didn't stop there. He met with Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan and Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev, trying to push forward peace in the South Caucasus after years of bloody conflict over Nagorno-Karabakh. He also sat down with the Pakistani Prime Minister, where both leaders condemned Israeli actions in Gaza and reiterated their commitment to Palestinian statehood. When you add all this up, a pattern emerges. Erdogan is inserting Turkey into every major flashpoint: Ukraine, Gaza, Syria, the Caucasus, positioning himself not just as a participant, but as a mediator. So what does all this mean? On the surface, Erdogan's moves could be read as Turkey inching closer to an anti-Western bloc. After all, he's sitting beside Xi and Putin, using language that mirrors theirs and pushing for full membership in the SCO. But the deeper picture is more complicated. Let's start with the case for Turkey's pivot. Erdogan has clashed with the West repeatedly, from disputes with Washington over Syria to frozen EU accession talks to sanctions threats. Turkey recently suspended trade and airspace access for Israel, marking one of the harshest moves by a NATO ally against Tel Aviv. By engaging with SCO nations, Erdogan is signaling that Turkey can and will seek partners outside the Western orbit. Yet there's a counterpoint. Turkey is still firmly in NATO. Its defense minister just last month reaffirmed that Ankara's top priority is fulfilling its NATO responsibilities. Turkey relies on NATO defense systems, and despite buying Russian S-400 missiles in the past, its long-term military structure is tied to the West. In other words, Turkey isn't leaving NATO, it's hedging, it's building leverage by showing it has options. And that's where Erdogan's genius or opportunism comes in. He knows that by flirting with Russia and China, he creates pressure on the West to take Turkey's interests more seriously. At the same time, he tells Moscow and Beijing, look, Turkey can give you access to NATO's neighborhood. It's a balancing act, but a dangerous one, because the more Turkey leans toward the SCO, the more suspicion it stirs in Brussels and Washington. So what are the real-world consequences if Erdogan is quietly building an anti-Western bloc? First, NATO unity could be tested. Imagine a future where Turkey, a NATO member, also sits inside the SCO alongside Russia and China. How does NATO plan collective defense when one of its members shares a table with the very powers it defines as strategic rivals? Second, the Middle East balance shifts. Turkey's alignment with Pakistan, China, and Russia on condemning Israel puts it at odds with the United States, which continues to back Tel Aviv. This could further deepen rifts in how global powers approach the Gaza crisis. Third, Turkey's economy could see both risk and reward. Closer trade with China offers growth potential, but alienating Western markets, still Turkey's largest trading partners, carries heavy costs. Finally, there's the symbolism. The SCO, once dismissed as a regional forum, is increasingly being cast as a rival power centre. By showing up and engaging deeply, Erdogan gives legitimacy to that project. He's telling the world, Turkey isn't just a bridge between East and West. It's a player in its own right, one that can shape the emerging multipolar world. The bottom line, whether Erdogan is truly building an anti-Western bloc or simply playing both sides for Turkey's advantage, his presence in Tianjin makes one thing clear: the global order is shifting and Turkey wants a front row seat. So is Erdogan quietly building an anti-Western bloc? The evidence suggests two truths running side by side. On one hand, his attendance at the SCO summit, his echoing of multipolar rhetoric, his outreach to Putin and Xi, and his stance against Israel. These all suggest a Turkey moving further into the orbit of Eurasian power structures. On the other hand, Turkey remains embedded in NATO, relies on Western trade, and still plays the role of mediator rather than outright defector. In many ways, Erdogan isn't burning bridges, he's building new ones, even if those bridges span rival worlds. And that's why this story matters, because in a time when global alliances are hardening, Erdogan is deliberately blurring the lines. For some, that looks like bold statecraft. For others, it looks like dangerous double-dealing. But what's undeniable is this.
What?
Turkey under Erdogan wants to be more than a junior partner. It wants to shape the rules of the new world order, whether the West likes it or not. So now the question goes to you. Is Erdogan reshaping Turkey into the bridge of a multipolar world, or is he pushing the country into an anti-Western bloc that could fracture NATO? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because this debate is only just beginning.
Yeah, because we need to find out what's going on with this polar meeting, bilateral meeting. What we want to know.
Followed by all SCO members. Uninterrupted access to due share of water as per existing.
They talking real low, so you can't hear it.
The SCO members will strengthen the SCO working smoothly and will support the achievement of broader goals for which SCO was established. Excellencies, for its part, Pakistan seeks a normal and stable relationship with all its neighbors. It seeks dialogue and diplomacy over conflict and confrontation. In the meanwhile, we will continue our efforts along with all SCO members and the chairman of SCO to promote peace, progress, and prosperity in the entire region, and to ensure lasting peace in South Asia. We call for a comprehensive and structural dialogue to discuss all outstanding disputes. And Honorable Chairman, I will request for your kind consideration to lead this dialogue under your sagacious leadership so that we can have its dividends as early as possible. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan has always abided by the UN and SCO charters and will always respect the principles that will hold dear to all of us for our collective good. As a peace-loving nation, Pakistan has always advocated dialogue and diplomacy, consultation over confrontation. Ladies and gentlemen, Israel's unjustified aggression against our fellow brotherly member country, Iran, a fellow SU member state, is condemnable and therefore unacceptable. Mr. Chairman, the suffering and starvation unfolding in Gaza is a festering wound on our collective conscience. We reiterate our call.
Did you hear that? An effective wound on our collective conscience. All the things that I keep talking about over here on this page, you hear them talking about in the summit. You hear them talking about on the big stage. Right? Okay.
For an immediate end to this gruesome violence and heart-wrenching bloodshed in Gaza, Pakistan has consistently supported the UN-mandated two-state solution, that is, the creation of an independent state of Palestine with pre-1967 borders and Al-Quds al-Sharif as its capital. Ladies and gentlemen, the menace of terrorism, separatism, and extremism continues to pose a grave threat to Pakistan and endanger peace and security of the entire SCO region and SCO family. We condemn terrorism in all its forms and manifestation with fullest force at our command, including state terrorism in clear and unambiguous terms. Those who have long used terrorism for advancing their political interest must know that the world no longer buys this fictitious narrative. We have, ladies and gentlemen, irrefutable evidence of the involvement of some foreign hands in the devastating Jafar Express train hostage incident, as well as countless other terrorist attacks against us in Balochistan and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province of Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan has rendered great sacrifices in combating terrorism, not only for its own self, but for the region and far beyond. And in the process, we have lost over 90,000 valuable lives, mothers, children, engineers, doctors, scientists, ordinary citizens, shopkeepers, our officers and sepoys of our armed forces. and endured economic losses over $152 billion, a sacrifice which has no parallel in the annals of history, and there cannot be a bigger manifestation of our unwavering commitment to defeat terrorism with the cooperation of all SCO members and the global powers around the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, Pakistan has always believed that a peaceful and stable Afghanistan, a brotherly country, is not only in our own interest, but that of the entire region. While we remain engaged in building our ties with the Afghan leadership to leverage them as economic partners and good neighbors, we hope that this cooperation with Afghanistan and our trilateral meetings between China, Pakistan, and Afghanistan will have positive results in times to come. Honorable Chairman, as SCO leaders, we have reaffirmed year after year the significance of enhanced regional connectivity. This requires efficient land, air, and rail transport corridors to ensure reliability of supply chains. Expansion of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, the flagship project of the Belt and Road Initiative, can serve as a practical demonstration of SCO's vision for regional connectivity and economic integration. Excellencies, as I speak before this August Assembly of Great Leaders,
We know what's going on. That's why we keeping track.
passing through
That's why we ain't let this damn meeting pass by. They try to sneak a meeting in on us. Huh? They trying to sneak a meeting in on us. These leaders trying to sneak a meeting in on us? Don't act like they didn't just try to sneak this meeting in.
Интересы максимального широкого круга.
किसी भी देश के विकास का आधार किंतु इस मार्ग में आतंकवाद, अलगाववाद और अतिवाद बड़ी चुनौतियां आतंकवाद.
First of all, I would like to support my colleagues who highly appreciated the work carried out by the Chinese side during the presidency of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. This year is special for all our states. On May 9th, Moscow solemnly celebrated the anniversary of the victory in the Great Patriotic War and the defeat of Nazi Germany. And the day after tomorrow, large-scale events dedicated to the victory over Japanese militarism and the 80th anniversary of the end of the Second World War will be held in Beijing. We managed to crush Nazism and militarism thanks to the unification of the peoples of many countries of the world. As a result of the Second World War, the United Nations was established, which also celebrates its 80th anniversary this year. And its charter includes the key principles of the supremacy of international law, the right of the nation to self-determination, sovereign equality, non-interference in internal affairs, respect for the independence and national interests of each state. These principles are true and unwavering to this day. It is on these principles that the activities of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, which unites like-minded people who are committed to the idea of building a just multi-layered order, are built. A solid package of documents has been prepared for the current meeting of the Council of Heads of State. The main document, the Tianjin Declaration, reflects the agreed approaches of the participating countries on the key issues of the global and regional agenda. Of course, I would also like to note the strategy adopted today for the development of the Cooperation Organization until 2035, which predetermines the main areas of activity of the Shanghai Organization in politics, economy, security, and the humanitarian sphere. The pace of development of cooperation within the framework of the Cooperation Organization is really impressive. For example, the average growth of shale domestic product in the member states last year was more than 5%. Industrial production was 4.6%. Income growth and cross-border trade are all above the world standards. National currencies are increasingly used in mutual accounts. We stand for the issuance of joint bonds between member states, for the creation of our own payment, accounting, and depository infrastructure, for the formation of a joint investment bank. All this will increase the efficiency of our economic exchanges and protect them from the fluctuations of the external currency. As part of the Cooperation Organization, a sophisticated and competitive transport infrastructure is being built up in a series of steps. The volumes of automobile, railway, and multimodal transport are growing. Closer customs interaction is being established. Electronic turnover documents are being actively introduced. The strategy of energy cooperation until 2030, which we approved last year, is being implemented in full swing. The roadmap adopted today in its development is aimed at conducting coordinated and balanced energy policy throughout the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. As many colleagues have already noted, the links between the participants of the organization in the field of science and education, healthcare, and the environment, sports and youth exchanges are expanding. The University of Shenzhen, which brings together 77 universities from our states, is working successfully. Regular forums of rectors of universities are being held. A dialogue between students, postgraduates, and teachers is being activated. Dear colleagues, our organization is consistently increasing its influence in the solution of current international issues. It is a powerful locomotive for the processes of global development and the assertion of true multilateralism. And of course, the organization is making a tangible contribution to strengthening the atmosphere of cooperation and mutual trust throughout the Eurasian continent, thereby helping to lay down political and socio-economic prerequisites for the formation of a new system of stability, security, and peaceful development in Eurasia. A system that would replace the revived Eurocentric and Euro-Atlantic models and would take into account the interests of the widest possible range of countries would be truly balanced. This would mean that attempts by some states would not be allowed to ensure their security at the expense of the security of others. Taking this opportunity, I would like to say that the Russian side also adheres to similar approaches to the crisis around Ukraine. Let me remind you that this crisis did not arise as a result of Russia's attack on Ukraine, but as a result of the coup d'etat in Ukraine, which was supported and provoked by the West. And then there were attempts by the armed forces to suppress the resistance of those regions of Ukraine and those people in Ukraine who did not accept and support this coup. The second reason for the crisis is the constant attempts by the West to draw Ukraine into NATO, which, as we have repeatedly emphasized and said, and for many years, poses a direct threat to Russia's security. By the way, as a result of the coup d'etat in Ukraine in 2014, the political leadership of the country that did not support Ukraine's entry into NATO was eliminated. In this regard, we appreciate the efforts and proposals of China, India, and other of our strategic partners, which are intended to assist in the settlement of the Ukrainian crisis. I would like to note that the understanding of the recent Russian-American meeting in the Alaskan Highlands, I hope, is also in this direction, opening the road to peace in Ukraine. During the two-way meetings scheduled today and tomorrow, I will certainly inform my colleagues in more detail about the results of the negotiations in Alaska. By the way, yesterday, during lunch, which our hosts arranged for the participants of our meetings within the framework of the Shahs, we talked about this with President Xi Jinping. This work has begun, and I informed him in detail about what we have achieved during the negotiations with the President of the United States. And of course, in order for the Ukrainian settlement to have a stable and long-term nature, the primary causes of the crisis, which I have just mentioned, and which I have mentioned more than once before, must be eliminated. A fair balance in the security sphere has been restored. Of course, one of the priority tasks of the Shahs is to maintain stability in the participating countries and along the perimeter of foreign borders. Russia supports the program of countering extremism up to 2030, prepared for our meeting, and is ready to join the implementation of this document. We also consider it extremely important to sign today an agreement on the establishment of a Shah's Universal Center in Tashkent, which will respond to the entire range of modern challenges and threats, and on the opening of a separate anti-drug center in Dushanbe. We expect these centers to start working as soon as possible. Finally, I would like to thank my Chinese friends for the very successful meeting of the heads of the United States. I am sure that the issues of the agreements reached here in Tianjin will be subjectively considered at the meeting of the Shah's heads of government, which, as agreed, will take place in November in Moscow. We will be glad to see the delegations of all your countries, dear friends. Of course, I wish the President of Kyrgyzstan, Seyder Nurgazievich Japarov, and his Kyrgyz colleagues great success, who, after today's summit, will take over as chairman of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization.
See? Y'all think it's... Yeah, listen. These people...
Thank you very much for the...
Wait, that was 9 days ago.
Rules come in, yes.
They pulled a fast one on us, man.
Promote the democratization of the...
This group.
Now it looked like Trump is the bully, and it looked like...
Mr. President, it's been a long time since you sat down with an American television network. Each of these claims certainly...
Now it looks like Trump is the bully and Putin is the one trying to unite the future. Crazy work. Crazy work out here. Hey, listen, y'all keep doing great things, keep being great. We're gonna come back later once we get some more stuff. I told y'all, stay tuned. Stay tuned. Make sure y'all on your P's and Q's. Y'all gotta stay tuned. All right? You gotta stay tuned. Shit happening fast around us, okay? It's happening fast around us. You don't pay attention, you might miss it. They're trying to confuse everyone. Yeah, they trying to confuse everybody. All this misdirection shit that's going on. So we waiting for, the trilateral meeting to take place. You know what I'm saying? Waiting for the trilateral meeting to take place. And here we are. The bilateral is going to take place today and tomorrow. So hopefully between those two, we can find out something. Hopefully we can find out something. We got a little situation here. They putting together meetings with India, so on and so forth. If you ask me, Pakistan say that they got, evidence of interference from a different party. Everybody's saying that Trump is using these tariffs in order to bully the world. You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to open our eyes, man. Maybe what we're looking at as a way to get out of, you know, the trader's debt, however Trump is using this, maybe it is against the law. I don't know what the law is or what it states when pertaining to, you know, tariff. You know, I don't know what might entails with some of this stuff, but for sure, you know, there's something going on. And for sure, we definitely need to pay attention. Okay? Definitely need to pay attention to the world. Things are changing. Make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Hey, man, Replay Gang, do y'all thing. You know, hopefully, we can keep this info going. I don't think nobody else talked about it today, you know, for real. I don't think nobody else kept track of what's going on or kept posted of this. The fact that they did it on our Labor Day, like, I think everybody really sleep. You know what I mean? I think everybody might be really still asleep right now, you know? So, you know, love is love. Namaste, Ashe, salutation, shalom, peace, man. I hope to see y'all over on the gaming page. You know, we're going over here, Atlas Gaming, over on TikTok. We're going to stream the game. You know what I mean? Maybe y'all come over, give me a couple of taps, maybe drop a gift or something. I'm trying to get back into the algorithm on the gaming. So, you know, come help me out over there, Atlas Gaming 111. Man, if nobody told y'all that they love you today, let me be the first, not the last, to tell you that I love you. Listen, man, great things is happening. We just got to be here for it, okay? We just got to be here for it, all right? You know, Becky, I think a lot of them are just actors on the world big stage. I think Putin might got 10 body doubles, to be honest with y'all. I think Putin might got like 10 body doubles out there. You know what I mean? I think Putin got like 10 body doubles out there, you know? But we gonna lock in. All right, I'm just making sure, just in case, you know. Just in case, you know. The boots look fresh, though. See them boots? I'm waiting for wintertime to get here. Things look nice, right? Oh, look. The old ones I got cleaned up. I cleaned them, look. They back to life. I gotta clean them off one more time. Oh, that damn useless ass grass shit that we had to do. Didn't get no credit for it. Helping somebody. It's okay. I might get some people to sit in the box while I play the game too. Some people can come up and sit in the box and talk while I play the game if I open up the guest box. So we might be able to do that. While I play the game, people can come sit in the guest box. All right, so come on over to the Atlas page. You know, I gotta get another wall. I gotta get another hat thing. I got like an ass load more hats I gotta put up. I still got another case. Oh, we gaming on TikTok, not over here. This is a different page. This is our YouTube page. We gaming over on TikTok, on our TikTok page. I told you, multiple strands of revenue. If you looking at it as like, oh, gaming, buy, you're looking at it wrong. All right, all of these are different means of revenue. You got a TikTok check, a YouTube check. You know, yeah, I'm trying to get sponsored by Lids for the gaming part and everything like that. You know, TikTok check, YouTube check. We not monetized until next month. We gotta, you know, we doing Call of Duty. We're gonna do Call of Duty over there. So yeah, come on over to that side. Come kick it with us. Yeah, we're gonna do Call of Duty. Maybe switch out and play For Honor later. But you can't go wrong. I mean, if I might as well get the best out of my setup. You know what I mean? Like if I got a setup like this, like come on, I might as well get the best out of that setup, right? Come on. Look at that. Look at that setup. Come on. I might as well get the best out of that setup. And I'm about to get another small monitor. Come on. Yeah, I can't talk about the Baphomet and all of that stuff. So I gotta stay away from those variations of conversation. So I would love to have a conversation about the Baphomet, but you know, we can't do it, okay? The secret, you know, societies and everything like that. I would love to. We just can't. Okay. I'm sorry. All right, see y'all over there. If not, man, appreciate y'all. We can rename it. Yeah, make sure y'all link up in the Discord. I'm trying to get more people over to the Discord.